Welcome to the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. I'm Sinclair Fleetwood, a ceremonialist, plant medicine guide, and psychedelic integration coach, and I help soul seekers create lasting transformation so you can get unstuck, embody your power, and be authentic AF, all with plant medicine as your guide. If you're ready to go beyond visuals and get a vision for your life, if you know the end of your ceremony is just the beginning of your expansion, then this show is for you. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome. Hey family, welcome to the show. I'm Sinclair Fleetwood. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to talk about something gross that doesn't feel good and it's kind of hard to look at and kind of unfun, but something that's really, really important for you to witness in yourself, for you to allow, to accept, and to bring into your awareness so that you can own your own shit, take personal responsibility, and stop blaming other people for what's going on in your life. What does it mean when we're blaming other people? Well, that means we are looking at what's going on in our own lives, pain, hurt, symptoms, illness, things not being the way that we think they should be. And it's taking our suffering and gathering it up and looking at someone in our lives, maybe a parent, maybe a sibling, maybe our entire family, the system, our boss, our partner, our ex-partner, our kids, and handing it to them and saying, here you go. This is yours and it's because of you. You're the reason that I'm fucked up. You're the reason I'm depressed. You're the reason I don't have what I want. You're the reason that things are not going the way that I want them to go. You're the reason I don't feel well. You're the reason I'm sick. You're the reason I'm suffering. Many people are called to plant medicine in this place of blame, of blaming other people. And I'll tell you a secret. Blaming other people is one of the required stops on the route of healing. It is necessary. It happens to everyone. It's part of the process of learning how to take your power back from victimhood. It's part of the process of reimagining yourself from a victim to an empowered creator who chose everything that happens to you. You don't get from being in a place of suffering and blaming to everything is perfect and awesome and I'm amazing and I chose all of this and everything is here for my benefit without stopping on these little towns that we don't want to spend time in, where we look and we see and you see, okay, I'm taking plant medicine. I'm doing the work of spirituality. I'm meditating. I'm sitting with this stuff that's coming up inside of me. And what's coming up inside of me is anger at my parents. What's coming up inside of me is anger at my siblings, is anger at my workplace, is anger at myself. This is the healing path. This is what psychedelics ask us to sit with. And it's a process. It's one of many steps on the road to becoming an empowered, spiritually attuned super creator who takes full responsibility for your own life, right? And what happens when we take these medicines is we are saying, I'm willing, I'm ready to look into my wounds. I'm ready to look into these dark places inside of myself where I have been hiding, where I have been hiding my patterns, where things have been festering, where maybe I'm hiding wounds of abandonment, wounds of separation. Maybe I have been lost as a child. I have been left alone. I am having all of this depression, anxiety, PTSD. All of this stuff is coming up in my life and I don't know where it comes from. It must be a chemical imbalance. There's something wrong with me. It must be anything outside of me, but it's not my fault. And I'm here to tell you that it's not your fault. It's not a punishment. There is no fault. We all experience difficult and challenging things in our human lives. We all are invited on this human path experience to decide what that stuff means. And one of the places that we stop on the way to deciding what is the most beneficial story about this? What is the most beneficial experience of this thing that I'm having? Like, why is my depression here? Why is my anxiety here? Why am I having health issues? We have to look at all the places where we are outsourcing our responsibility, where we are outsourcing our own power, and where we are afraid of being vulnerable where blame is coming up as a defense mechanism to protect these shadows from being seen, to protect you from your own insecurities, to protect you from feeling the pain of looking at yourself and looking at your shadows and feeling things that have been repressed. It's easier to blame. It's easier to be a victim. It's easier to choose to look out at the world and think, oh, poor me. I never had a chance. It's easier in some ways, but it's so painful when you believe that it's safer to be afraid and safer to hide and safer to blame other people than to actually own your own power and change your reality. But that's where most of us start, right? That's where I started. I was a huge proponent of blame it on your dad. My entire life was blame it on your dad. I could not see past it's my dad's fault. It's all his fault. I blamed everything on him. My shitty relationships, my alcoholism, my weight problem, my inability to have the career that I wanted. How he abandoned me was a giant wound, and I walked around, look at my wound, look at what my dad did to me. And then he had the audacity to commit a violent crime, go to prison, and die there. So my victimometer rating went up to like 1,000. Like, oh, poor me, my dad died in prison. Like it was a way for me to feel sorry for myself, because how could he do this to me? Like, what a bastard, This blame that I carried for him kept me stuck in addiction and self-loathing and loss and victimhood for decades, until I started to understand how blaming my father and blaming my mother and blaming my parents was keeping me stuck in my own self-created hell. So before we get into all of that deeper, I want to remind you about Resonance. Resonance is a series of 4-day retreats that we are hosting, me and my team, my amazing facilitation team. There are 5 of us, and we are hosting these gatherings in Asheville, North Carolina. We have one coming up in the first weekend of July. We have another one in September. We are almost sold out for July. We have 3-4 spots left for camping. And it's a 4-day event. You come and get away from daily life, disconnect from the outside and connect on the inside. We are in nature. We are in circle. We are around a sacred fire. We are healing. We are convening with master teachers. We are spending time together as a family, going into this kind of stuff. We are looking at the places that are holding us back, the things that are holding us back. We invite you to throw that stuff in the fire. We are letting go of things that don't serve. We are calling in, we are manifesting, we are healing, we are integrating. Integration is built in. And if you have never had an experience of going on retreat, being in a ceremonial container where you are coming in as a stranger with whatever's going on with you, bringing whatever is with you out there and inviting it to transform in the 4 days, surrendering to the process, trusting the universe, being open to magic. It's a beautiful, powerful experience. The stuff that is happening in these gatherings is continually blowing my mind. It's so fun. It's so healing. It's so connected. It's really hitting on all of the spots where we are lacking in life: isolation, loneliness, not being seen, not being witnessed, not seeing ourselves in power, not feeling like we have the power to make changes, to do things differently, not seeing ourselves in family. And you come in as a stranger, you leave as a family. It happens every time. It's really beautiful. So if this sounds intriguing to you and you would like to join us, please go to my website, sinclairfleetwood.com, click on events, book a call with me. We will have a little chat and I can let you know all the details. We can see if it's a good fit. If you're looking for something similar, but maybe not in person, not quite ready for that big step yet, I invite you to consider joining Nest. Nest is my group integration program. It's a membership. It's a month-to-month commitment. You get 4 calls with me every month and our other nesties. There are 8 people in our nest. It's a very intimate group. It's a small family of other people on the medicine path, on the spiritual path, who are doing the deep work of healing together. We meet at 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights. You get coached. You get to witness people getting coached. We have big, fun, serious supportive discussions in our Telegram group. It's an amazing, amazing container, and it's really low commitment. And it's the place where we do the work of figuring out how to stop blaming and owning your shit and how to feel better. Really, the point of everything that I do is so you can feel good. Like, actually, it's very elaborate. It's an elaborate plan to help you enjoy your life, feel good, and thrive and have what you want so you can share your gifts with the world. That's really all that I'm about. And so if you want some support, you want some help, come check out Nest. You can go to my website, sinclairfleetwood.com/nests. You can join straight from there. And if you have questions, you can book a call with me. We can talk about it. If you are on this path of spirituality and plant medicine and meditation and sitting with your difficult emotions and trying to know yourself, you're turning your awareness inward. It necessitates that you look inward. You become self-aware. You become accountable. And with pride and with joy, you are taking your responsibility and being like, no, that's mine. I own that. When you blame and outsource your shit, it keeps you trapped. It keeps you trapped in ego. It keeps you trapped in separation. It keeps you trapped in the wound. You are taking this suffering and putting it out and being like, that's yours. That's your fault. And then the vibration of what you're carrying is anger, is resentment, is poor me. The vibration of, I didn't get what I wanted and there must be something wrong with me. And again, this is not a place to judge yourself. So I'm not saying stop blaming outside of you, stop blaming your parents and start blaming yourself. There is no blame. There's no blame, because blame implies that there is something wrong, that something was done wrong and deserves judgment. But there is no judgment when there's no sin. And that's what the plants are asking us to see. They're asking us to look at our traumas and see them as opportunities and portals and experiences that we chose, that we created in order to find the gift that happens when you heal them. And I understand this is a difficult concept to take on, especially at the beginning of your journey, especially if you still feel really activated in your trauma. You are in the blame process. It's okay. So wherever you are on the spectrum of blaming other people, just starting to discover that you might have some anger at some people in your life, like wherever you are on this part of the path, there's no reason to reject yourself. There's no doing it wrong. You cannot do it wrong. You cannot do it wrong. You cannot do it wrong. You have never done it wrong. There is no wrong. There's only what happened. There's only what happened and what you believe about what happened. And that is the part that you can change. We get stories, we get ideas of what something means. We start to build belief systems around, okay, well, here is all of this struggle that I have in my adult life. And I need to understand it, and I need to have a reason for it. And so we start to gather information. We're like, I have a chemical imbalance, which was created by my ancestors. I inherited this. This runs in my family. That's one of my favorite ones. This runs in my family. So we're thinking about it as this like genetic thing. But what is a genetic disorder? What is genetics that are passed on? Is it just genes? Is it just off and on genes? Like this is off, this is on, here we have this in our family. Or is it energy? Is it memory? Is it trauma that is encoded in the DNA and passed on? That is a different story. And what we think DNA is not the whole story. We're looking at it from a very, very small lens that doesn't include energetics, mind-body connection, emotion. It doesn't include like the light codes of the sun, if you want to get real, spiritual and esoteric about it. There is so much involved inside of this liquid crystal that we have in our DNA. And yes, we do inherit things from our family, but it's a vibration that's being passed. And the vibrations are held inside the DNA because we are vibration. We are made of water and light. And that's what's getting encoded in the DNA. The negative thought patterns and the way that we are constantly repeating narratives and stories about what happened and keeping that alive instead of looking, feeling, examining, descending, owning, what happened and changing the story of what it means. So my question to you is, are you ready to claim your power? Are you ready to take back your power from the people and situations that you blame for your suffering? It can easily go both ways, right? Blaming is natural. It's a deeply ingrained pattern that we have that we often learn in childhood. So I talk about this all the time on the show, the programming that we get. And what I mean by that is things that we learn that are kind of in our society. And like, this is the way that we do society. This is the way that we do family. And all of it is very fucking dysfunctional. It is traumatic. It creates trauma. It passes on trauma. It is not holistic. It is compartmentalized. It is disempowering and aggressive, and it's triggering. The way that we exist is creating pain. Dr. Gabor Mate has made an entire career about talking about this, about how trauma creates addiction, it creates mental illness, it creates the inability to cope, and that everyone has this, whether it's capital T trauma, violent trauma, neglect, abandonment, like all these different things. There are people who had beautiful childhoods. Amazing. Congratulations. Like, if you're listening to this, the chances of you being one of those people is probably pretty slim, because that's not who listens to my show. I call in the people who had a problem, right? Who blamed the other. And I blamed my dad. I blamed my mom. I blamed myself, because in my heart and mind, I believe there was something wrong with me and that it was somebody else's fault. And I didn't know that I was doing that. Like, I didn't know that I was blaming. I didn't know I was carrying that feeling of like not enoughness, and why is because of you. If you just met my needs, if you just saw me, if you just created the idealistic version of family that I desperately wanted, I would be okay. But you didn't, and I'm not okay, right? So this is something we learn in childhood. It's a coping mechanism. It's protective. And it's really about avoiding the pain of confronting our own imperfections and the fear of failure, of not being good enough, the fear of the abandonment, of having the abandonment happen again. If you can look out and say, that person abandoned me, and then you create a fortress of isolation around you where you don't let anyone in, you're not going to get abandoned again, but you have created a completely different problem where you're probably exhausted, depressed, alone, anxious, and afraid because you have no community and connection around you, because you've blamed everything outside of you for creating this internal problem that you have, and therefore are keeping it alive and keeping it going and separating yourself from the family and from the village. It's protection. That's all. And it's normal. And usually when we are blaming others, it's because we've come to a place in ourselves where we're like, I'm right and I'm good and you're wrong and you're bad and you did this to me. It's taking away our humanity. It's taking away our empathy. It's taking away our ability to practice acceptance, to practice compassion, not only for others, but for ourselves. When I first started working with ayahuasca, this is what I brought. I brought my relationship with my dad. And my teacher, Matthias, says that our first work with the medicine is to heal and get right with our parents, to heal the relationship with the mother and father. And I would say that extends to siblings, to our origin family, to the people that we are the closest to as we grow in the world. Could be anybody, could be your grandparents, but this mother and father relationship is our closest relationship that helps us develop our personality, our coping mechanisms. It helps us show ourselves in the world and find our way in the world and find our purpose in the world. And many, 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 many of us are not having that experience in a way that feels supportive and nurturing. And we don't have the self-awareness to look at our parents as human beings who are doing their best. And that was one of the biggest gifts that I got from my first ayahuasca retreat, was taking myself out of the blame, out of pointing the finger outward. You did this to me. I'm so angry at you. And taking myself into the consciousness of my father. My father had passed on by this time that I did this. So the healing wasn't available to me while he was alive. It was something I had to do after he had already gone. And I went into his body. I went into his consciousness. I went into his prison cell and I experienced what it was like to be him. And I felt his despair and I felt his grief and I felt his aloneness and his isolation and I felt his deep regret. And it is the most excruciating pain that I've ever felt in my life. And I realized in that moment that this man didn't do anything to me. He gave me life. He did a lot of things for me. He gave me life. He supported me. He loved me. He didn't do it how I thought he should. He didn't love me in the way that I wanted to receive love from him all the time, but he did it in his way. And it was the first time that I was able to see my father as a human being, a flawed human being with compassion and empathy and seeing, wow, he had a really hard life. He did so much from this really hard life of this place of not loving himself, of hating himself, of shaming himself, of carrying the deep wounds that were given to him by his father. And from there, before, I was able to witness the true humanity and beauty of this magnificent, amazing, smart, lovely, wicked, depraved, complicated man. And at that moment, I felt only compassion. And ever since that experience, I have not been able to judge my father anymore. I have not been able to be angry at him anymore. I have had moments of anger, but not in the sustained, this is your fault, because I was able to take my own responsibility out of it. I was able to say, okay, I see you. I see you. I see that you did the best that you could. And that I have this experience with you because it's showing me all my unmet needs, the places where I have no boundaries. It's showing me what I desire in life, what I want in life. And it showed me a lot of places where I felt powerless. And it created in me, and this happens so often from parent to child, is this passing on of the dysfunction. So my father was an alcoholic and he taught me how to binge drink. And when I turned 18, we started partying together and that was how we bonded. And I wanted this close relationship with him so badly. And what I got was like college degree in how to binge drink and be reckless and party, which was a blast at the time. You know, I really liked it, but it was also really volatile. And it was a fake version of the relationship that I really wanted. It was a substitute. It was like a saccharine version of what I wanted. And that's because my dad didn't know how to have a relationship with me in a fully sustained way, in a loving way, because he didn't have that relationship with himself. He couldn't give it to me. He couldn't teach it to me because he didn't have it with himself. He was an addict. He was running from what he didn't receive. He was blaming what he didn't receive on someone else. And so that's what I was given. That's what I experienced as a child. And it made me feel powerless. It made me feel helpless. It made me feel like a victim. And it made me blame. And I looked at my parents and I was like, I don't want to be like you. And what I did was I became exactly like both of them because that's what we do, because that is the path. We have to go into the shadow expression. We have to explore the darkness of ourselves. If we want to heal ancestral trauma, we have to go into it and look at it and own it and feel it and be like, this is what's in my family. Addiction, running away, not feeling your feelings, not loving yourself, chronic pain, chronic illness, the ability to manifest but not hold on. That is a big theme in my family, is creating and then it crumbling, and creating and crumbling. There's no stability there. There's like not a foundation, because when you build on top of a shaky foundation, it crumbles. We're really good builders. So what I saw was an opportunity to take this thing that has been moving in my family for generations and turn and face it and be like, not today. No, not with me. To identify my own wounds and say, that's my wound for me to heal. And yes, my father was part of the creation of this, but I'm the one that ripped it open and tore the stitches off and let it fester and get infected and poured alcohol on it because I chose that, because that was what was modeled to me, but also because I didn't know any better. And I had to do it like that in order to find my own power. Ayahuasca told me once, I begged her, please take this addiction. Like, I wanted her to come in and take it and like do her plant spirit mystical magic on me and get into my brain and remove the addiction from my life forever. And she told me, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, I came all the way down here. Like, I'm drinking the medicine. I did everything you asked. Like, why? And she was like, that would be incredibly disempowering for me to take this, because this is yours. The only person that can solve this is you. You have to own this. You have to decide, I don't do this anymore. What feels better? Having this taken away from you by something outside of you, or you solving it and healing it yourself? And I knew in that moment, I was like, oh, I can choose I can take this away from myself. I can do this myself. It was like the teach a man to fish moment, you know? Like, she was teaching me how to fish and to reclaim my agency and my sovereignty. And she helped me see the bigger picture. Like, the addiction wasn't the problem. It was my lack of ownership. It was my believing that I was flowing through life and everything was happening to me on accident. And I was some kind of broken, damaged, messed up person that created tragedy and crashed everywhere all around me. And she just held up a mirror and asked me, is that what you see? Is that what you see? You see someone who's alone, who's outside of everything, who's not connected to anything. She invited me to feel my feelings. She invited me to feel my sacred rage. I was enraged at my father. And that was part of claiming my shit and owning my shit. It was like, I am so fucking mad at you. And I'm so sorry. And I'm also all these other things. I love you so much. I'm so sad that you're gone. I'm angry that you left me. I'm angry that you left me in such a painful way. I'm angry that you did this to yourself. I'm angry at myself for following in your footsteps. You know, there's a lot of anger that needs to be acknowledged. And we think that we're angry at others, but a lot of the anger is at the self. And when we reclaim our agency, we have the capacity to say, I am angry at myself. I'm angry at you. And we keep digging and we keep feeling. And underneath the anger, every time is grief. It's loss. It's the core wound of abandonment, of separation from spirit, of separation from nature. It's coming into a world where we know that we are not living in an aligned way, and it's breaking our hearts. And we do all of this crazy shit in our lives and create all of this illness and all of this like dysfunction to cope with this separation from our mother, from earth, from the natural cycles of things. We are doing our very best to live in a world that doesn't feel like we belong to it. And everybody feels this at some point. You know, everyone feels like, I'm not part of all of this. Is there any meaning to any of this? This is why we start working with plant medicine, because we want desperately to feel the felt experience of being part of love. We want to know that something is driving this shit show, right? Like, we want to remember our own divine nature. We want to remember that we have access to self-compassion and compassion for others and empathy and love and forgiveness and joy. And it invites us to say, I am the creator. I created all of this. I chose all of this. And I am empowered to choose a different path. I can go back and look at my past and change the story. I have that much power. I have the power to say, well, what I have done with my story about my father was I turned it into something beautiful that really resonates with me and serves me. And because of the work I do now, and because of the path that led me here, I can look back at that origin story and my origin family and see that I chose that so that I could do this, so that I could learn how to heal this and guide other people through it. And I know some of this is really far-fetched when you are in that place of like, I'm so fucking angry at my dad. I'm so fucking angry at my brother. I'm so fucking angry at my mom. I'm so fucking angry at everyone who left me alone and who doesn't see me and doesn't love me and doesn't reach out to me. And I'm so angry that I'm isolated and it's their fault. I will challenge you to ask yourself, what if you are isolated because you chose it? Because you're consciously choosing it in every moment. Because it's safer for you to be isolated and alone inside yourself than to come fully into your body, than to come fully into your life and to be rejected by there not being anyone there. Because that's how it is when we come back into ourselves. When we have been gone, which most of us are disconnected, we are dissociated. We are not in our bodies. We are living fully in the mind. We've created a prison in there. And taking responsibility for creating your own prison is part of the path. So that's the first step is I own this. Could it be possible that I'm doing this to myself? Could it be possible that this horrible experience of pain and suffering that I'm having is a gift that I created for myself so I could find my way home? This is hard, okay? This is a hard sell. I get it. So if this doesn't land for you right now, that's okay. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be all the way in. But just ponder this, like contemplate it. Let it sit with you. You sit with it and see how it feels to be like, what does it feel like to think about changing that story of maybe I am part of all of this, and maybe there is a wise higher self that's chose all of this for me. And maybe I chose all of this and to awaken from it because I'm super powerful. I am here to be one of the healers. I'm here to be a leader. I am here to co-create my own reality with other healers and leaders. I am here to be empowered. I can change my life. Whatever this is that I'm suffering with is temporary. It's overcomable. It's healable. It is figure outable. You are not a victim. How does it feel to just turn some of those things over? I ask how does it feel all the time? Because when I'm asking that, I'm asking you to bring your awareness to your body. Like, okay, you're having a thought about this. It's coming in, right? But how does it move in you? Like, where does it land in there? What does it feel like in your body to think, maybe I could take charge of my life. Like maybe I could heal this thing that feels unhealable. You know, maybe I could like not be depressed anymore. Maybe I could give myself a chance to have a different story. And everything is connected. So our emotions are connected. Our thoughts are connected. Our physical body is connected. It's all one thing. And we talk about them in, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, as these different parts, but it's just 4 aspects of the same thing. But we're very compartmentalized inside. So many of us are cut off from one or more of these different areas. Some of us are completely devoid of a spiritual connection, which is why a lot of you are here. Good. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. The fact that you're interested means that there's an opening. That might be what it starts as. It's a little glimmer. It's a little like, I'm curious. It's an impulse. I want to pay attention to this. Many of us are cut off from our emotions because it's not safe to feel. So I'm just going to cut that off. I'm not going to be in my body. You're walking around in a body, but it's mostly like you're a robot with a head. You live in the head part of the robot and the body is just flopping around doing its thing. And a lot of people don't get into their bodies until their body is like, says no. And the body stops working how it's supposed to. And you get some kind of illness in some way. My body loves to make symptoms. I have been through a lot of these, and it's been an ongoing process of meeting these different experiences in my body and learning to have a different relationship with it, and learning how to own that I am creating this because it's trying to teach me how to work with my mind, that my body somaticizes things. I get symptoms instead of feelings, and I had for years, and I didn't understand. I thought I was sick. I had all these chronic illnesses. I had chronic pain. I had addiction. I had anxiety. I have had like every possible reproductive problem that you can have. So many different things. And all of them come down to fear and being afraid of the actual truth inside of me. And so my body would create symptoms to protect me, because it's safer to think there's something physically wrong with me than to feel my feeling and think that I'm creating this with my mind. That's a different episode. I will go into that more at some point. But many of us are separated from our true mental power. So we're in the mind, but we have no control over the mind. So the mind is just going crazy, telling us all kinds of horrible things, criticizing us, keeping us isolated, telling us everyone hates us. It's really doing a great job at like running, a Gestapo up there in your brain, like telling you you're like in a prison camp of your own mind. So you're in your mind, but you're not accessing the full capacity of the mind. The mind is beautiful. The mind is so powerful. The mind can create and destroy. It can do both. And if you can program it to be angry and protective and controlling and afraid and hyper vigilant and, scanning for danger at all times, and have, your nervous system be activated, you can also program it toward joy, toward love, toward reframing things to a more beneficial story. You are the author of your own story. You get to tell yourself whatever you want. And sometimes I think it's like, we don't know that we can do this because we don't know that this is how it works. So we get stuck in these horrible, like, loops of suffering, of keeping alive the vibration of whatever it is this thing is that you don't want, and putting all your attention on it. Like, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to overcome this depression. I am going to destroy this depression. And what you're saying to your mind is, yes, keep giving me depression, because I will pay all my attention to it. I will hate it with everything that I have inside of me. And you're doing great. Like, keep giving me that. I love that. That's what you're saying. And it's fucking frustrating because it hurts. And you think, why would my mind create thoughts that hurt? Why would it create protection that hurts? Well, because the mind is kind of stupid. Like, it doesn't know that it's hurting you. It thinks it's protecting you. And it's very much about efficiency, and it's very much about habit energy and pattern. And that's why plant medicine is so powerful, because it breaks the pattern. It gives you a felt experience of something else. Even going outside in a ceremonial context and sitting on the ground, grounding on the earth, spending time out in nature with no devices and you're not just alone with your thoughts all day. You are in a container with a family. You're being sung to and prayed over, and you're being invited to pray and reclaim prayer and reclaim your connection to spirit, and own that you live inside of consciousness experiencing itself. That is how you change your neural pathways, is you disrupt the pattern. You have to disrupt the default mode network. And then you're putting a substance in that is creating the ability for your brain to make new neural pathways. So in the integration process, we have to continue that and keep it going. If you want the new neural pathways to wire together, you have to practice. And how we do that is by looking at ourselves and sitting with our emotions and difficult stuff and doing whatever it is that feels resistive, that feels challenging, doing that instead of the normal pattern of, okay, I just am trapped here in this prison of my mind. The mind is magical. It is powerful. Your body can heal itself. Your mind can help your body heal. Your body can help your mind heal. It's all related. Your feelings are your navigation system. We have to completely relearn how the body works, how the mind works, how the emotions work, and stop making ourselves our own enemy, because you're not your enemy and you didn't do anything wrong. All of this is here to help you. Everything that is challenging in your life is a portal to a new way of being. It has a gift at the center of it. That is the truth. And we have all of these teachings from our ancestors that show us all of this stuff. We have the rituals where we can connect to nature. We can connect to our own experience of being part of everything instead of this isolating idea that I'm suffering all alone and it's everything outside of me's fault. What if that's not the story? What would you like the story to be? That's my question for you. So what do you want to do to change this? I recommend doing some journaling about this. If you are feeling like you are in a place of blaming other people, ask yourself a question. Where am I outsourcing my responsibility? Who am I blaming for my problems? Where am I showing myself that it's somebody else's fault? Where am I keeping this victimhood in myself alive? So those are some journal questions that you can ask. Practice watching your thoughts. You don't need to change them. You don't need to do anything to them. You just need to be aware of them and notice when you start to feel the blame, when you start to look out and be like, well, if this thing was different and this thing was different and I didn't have this in the government and this wasn't the president, then things would be easier. Just look, watch. That's it. And when you see something, when you uncover something in your journaling or your meditation or your coaching, take responsibility. How does it feel to own something? This is mine, actually. I'm not going to blame this on my mom. I'm not going to blame this on my dad. They did the best they could. They're human beings. I have control over my own life. I'm not going to pass this on to my children. I'm going to heal this myself. I am the one that I have been waiting for, period. Try that on. And it might not fit. That's okay. I like saying that I'm a little delusional, because being a little delusional and trying things on that don't fit is part of this process. Is like, okay, this feels really weird, like saying you love yourself or saying like, I forgive my father, even if you don't mean it or whatever. It's like, try it on and see, how does it feel? That's all you have to do. Setting boundaries, clearly communicating your needs and expectations to yourself and looking in, just looking in and showing yourself the compassion and showing yourself kindness and allowing it to be possible that you could be liberated from this victimhood that you're experiencing, that you could choose yourself to be liberated from the cycle of blame and guilt and not enoughness. And that the pathway to that is about embodiment. It's about coming all the way into the body and allowing whatever is here to be here, accepting radical acceptance, radical self-love, radical self-compassion, radical empowerment. This is how you create a life full of authenticity and purpose and joy, is to own your shit. Take all of your energy back from the places that it's leaking out. Scoop everything back and turn it inward. Give it to yourself. Hold it inside of yourself. Build the capacity to hold whatever is going on inside of yourself. Hold your power and look at the shadow of blame and the ways that we want to outsource our suffering and project our suffering onto others as the catalyst for self-improvement, for self-discovery, and for growth. If you can turn blame into responsibility, you can turn victimhood into empowerment, you can turn resentment into forgiveness, you can turn anger into compassion, because you are an alchemist. That's what we do. That is the way. And you have to believe that it's possible. So try on some of these thoughts. Try on some of these new ideas. Just try them on like a dress, like try them on like you're in a fitting room and be like, maybe I could pull this off. What do you think? You're an imperfect human on an imperfect path. We're not here to get to some destination where you're perfect. It doesn't exist. We're here to enjoy the unfolding. We're here to be enthralled by our own ridiculousness. We're here to like look at our mess and laugh at it and be like, yeah, this really fucking hurt. This is really hard and painful and difficult. And I'm going to keep doing it because it works. and celebrate these little victories. If you're like, oh my God, I'm blaming my siblings for something that is mine to own. Like, I need to set a boundary with these people. I can love you from far away. You know, a lot of people on this path end up separating from their families or not talking to their families for some time, or nobody wants to stop talking to their family. But when you step into an authentic expression of yourself and you have people in your life who only will see you in a past version of yourself, who are holding you in some outdated picture of you, and you come to them in your reality, sometimes they can't meet you where you are. And sometimes you're not willing to meet them where they are. And that's okay. We are allowed to let go of our origin family relationships with love. We are allowed to press pause. We are allowed to say, I'm not available for that. We are allowed to say, I'm looking for something more. I need my relationships that are close in my present life to be loving, spiritual, fulfilling, connected, true, authentic, whatever you need, right? You are allowed to ask for those things. And that's part of taking the blame back, is sometimes taking your energy back and putting boundaries in place with yourself and with the people that have caused you suffering in the past, even though you know that you chose the suffering and that you co-created it together. I like to think of our origin family, well, and everybody that we have a relationship with in this lifetime, as having a soul contract. Like, our souls chose to come and be in relationship in this lifetime together. That doesn't mean that we chose to be in some fairy tale version of a relationship where it's happily ever after and we're in relationship forever. That sounds very unfulfilling to me. My relationships, my best relationships, have been very dynamic. The ones that I have learned the most from have not continued on forever. But the container and the ceremony of the relationship is eternal. The experiences you have with another human being and the way that you relate and the fun you have and the challenges you have are special. It's beautiful between you and them. And nothing can change that. You get to change how you look at it and what it meant and what you believe about it. And you can create a loving, beautiful story in your heart about whatever. Even if you're in a difficult time in a relationship with someone, you get to decide what it means, and you get to decide to send love and support and see that person in their highest expression, whether you are in contact with them or not. Our idea of what a relationship is based on ownership and transactionality. It's based on needing some other person to meet our needs. And when they don't, we hate the shit out of them for it. We suck all the joy out of a relationship in this way. We are codependent. We are interdependent in a way that someone needs something from you. And there is nothing that kills the spark of joy more than being depended on by someone else for something that you might not always be able to provide. So when we start looking at all of this blame, we have to start redefining, what does relationship mean? How am I relating to the people in my life? And what do I want that to feel like? What do I want it to be? So these are some questions to ask yourself, right? And this is not something that I can just figure out with you in one podcast episode. We go deep into these topics, as deep as I can in one episode, but this is a long-term process. It's a step-by-step process. You may not even be able to find where this comes from in yourself. And that is where hiring a coach, working with someone long-term, either one-on-one or in a group, helps you figure this stuff out in yourself, because it's not just something you can learn from a podcast. It's not just something you can figure out in one medicine ceremony. It's not going to come to you from meditating for a week. This is an ongoing process, and the process is the point. The point is to practice. The point is to evolve. The point is to be in flow with it. And it's not, okay, I'm going to do all my healing and I've got 3 months to do it, and then I better be healed and I'm going to go back to the way I was and like not change anything. If you want to change, you got to be willing, and you're going to have to be willing to be very uncomfortable, because that's what change feels like. It's literally dissolving into goo and coming out on the other side like a butterfly, right? So thanks for being here, family. If you would like to get support, if you want to get deeper into this, you want to kick blame to the curb and come be an empowered, badass creator who owns their shit and has the capacity to do whatever you want in your life, come work with me. You can visit my website, sinclairfleetwood.com, click on work with me. There's tons of links in the notes of this show to find out how to get free stuff, get on my email list, come do the work of integration with me. I would be happy to support you and guide you on your path. Thank you so much for being here. See you next time.